Rive Maroc is a rally for fully electric vehicles through the Atlas Mountains and the Sahara Desert of Morocco. In 2024 I decided to accept the challenge and participate with my Audi Q8 e-tron. Before the rally I made some minor modifications to my car to make it fit for the desert. I mounted 18-inch all-terrain tires, a roof rack with Maxtrax recovery boards and a full-size spare tire. The start of the rally was 30 kilometers south of Marrakesh. Day 1 was a 240 kilometer drive over the Atlas Mountains from Marrakesh to Ouarzazate with 2 checkpoints along the way. The rally was not about maximum speed, it was more like a classic car rally. You have to reach certain checkpoints within a defined time limit. If you arrive too late, you will lose points. In addition, you have to find landmarks along the way. Some of them are defined by so-called joker pictures. If you see one of these objects along the way, you have to take a picture of your car next to this object to get trophy points. Here's an example where I recognized the small petrol station that was shown on the first joker picture and stopped for a quick snapshot of my car at the station. During the following drive I got a first impression of the small villages and beautiful landscapes in the Atlas Mountains. The first checkpoint on that day was the Tichka Pass, which we reached around noon. It is located at an altitude of 2260 meters. The next stop was a local school in the Atlas Mountains. One of the main ideas behind the Rive Maroc rally is to support interesting local projects. By donating useful equipment or money to the school, the participants gained additional trophy points. I think this is a great concept. And it's a win-win for both the local communities and the rally participants, who had the chance to learn more about the local culture far off the typical beaten tracks. From the school we continue to Ouarzazate. In the late afternoon we finally reached the Eco Lodge, where we charged our cars and had dinner together. Day 2 of the rally started at the nearby Wingsu station. It was a 169 kilometer drive from Ouarzazate to Zagora with 1 checkpoint in between. At noon we stopped at the historic Kasbah Oulat Oudane. It was built in the 18th century of clay, wood and straw. We joined a guided tour by the current owner of the Kasbah. One of his great-grandfathers was the founder of the Kasbah. In the afternoon we arrived at the beautiful Oasis Palmier campground in Zagora, where we spent the next night.
Long time here? Where is
Day 3 of the Rive Maroc rally was mainly a rest day with some optional activities for the participants. The first program of the day was a visit to the local market in Zagora. In the afternoon, we went to the Iriki garage and got a guided tour by the owner. Until 2008, the garage was supporting the Dakar Rally for many years. Nowadays, it's a well-known place for fixing any problems of overlanding vehicles. After visiting the Iriki garage, we drove to the Sirocco hotel to fully charge our cars for the next day. Finally, we returned to the Oasis campground where we had a nice dinner together in the evening. The start of day 4 of the Rive Maroc rally was at the Sirocco hotel. It was a day of the Sahara eChallenges. The starting point for the first challenge was south of Taoudenni. The task was to find a blue house located about 7 kilometers west of the starting point somewhere in the desert. We had 1 hour to reach the house and had to find our own way across the rocky plains and sandfields. I used the satellite view of Google Maps to get a rough idea where houses are located in the desert. When I reached the first house, the Swiss team with their Model X was already there. But there was nowhere a blue house visible. So we continued our search through the desert. Next I had to cross my first section with soft sand, luckily without any problems. Finally I saw the blue house. I was the first car to arrive there and was within the time limit. 3 out of 9 teams managed to arrive within 1 hour at the Camp 1 and received the trophy points for this challenge. The second Sahara e-challenge on that day was to find Camp 2 in the dunes. This time the GPS coordinates were given, but the route was supposed to be far more sandy compared to the first challenge. Therefore I decided to further reduce my tire pressure to just 1.3 bars. 4 teams decided to join the second challenge. circumnavigating the large dune field on the south side, I finally reached Camp 2 within the time limit. Since we had some spare time there, I decided to do a test drive with my Q8 in the dunes of the ugly Hoodie to get a better feeling about the limits of my car in soft sand. The third Sahara challenge was to drive back to Camp 1, but on a different route north of the dune field.
Yeah, 1 hour time to drive to here.
I would say 500.
After the third Sahara challenge, there was the option to try out some drifting on sand. Afterwards, we drove together to Desert Camp 3, where we would spend the next night. The landscape around Camp 3 was stunningly beautiful, with lots of spectacular sand dunes. I decided to spend the night alone in the dunes instead of in the camp to get a more immersive experience of the desert. While there was still sunlight, I explored the surroundings for a suitable spot for the night. In the late afternoon, we all hiked up to the highest dune in that area to watch the sunset together. I spent the night in my car about 1 kilometer away from the camp in one of the nearby dunes. It was stunningly silent during the night. Next morning, the sunrise in the desert was absolutely After breakfast, 3 teams decided to join a guided tour through some challenging dune sections of the ugly Oudane. It was really fun and extremely impressive what's possible with modern EVs. Most of the time we were able to easily follow the modified Hilux.
You see, it's not that.
It was okay, but the dune behind it looks
I know. But
really
the problem when it's not about the shape of the dune. The problem is if it's hard or not.
yeah.
You know, because sometimes once even if it's not like this, if it's played, but if the sand is very soft, then the wheels just stuck in the sand. So you can go a little bit and.
okay.
for today was to drive to Spy Palace and the Desert Camp 4. On a guided tour we reached the Spy Palace near Emamit, where we could charge our cars. We then continued to Desert Camp 4, where we had lunch. Finally, we returned to the Spy Palace, where day 5 ended.
Bye.
Day 6 was all about efficiency. The task was to drive within a time limit and on a certain route from Emamit to Ouarzazate as efficiently as possible. Ajwaa I did a charge and lunch break at the Sirocco, Casper and Zagora. Day 6 ended at the Wingsum Hotel in Ouarzazate. Day 7 was the last day of the Rive Maroc rally and we spent the whole day near Ouarzazate. The first destination of the day was a Noor solar power station. It can produce up to 580 megawatts and is one of the largest solar power stations in the world. It uses a combination of thermal solar and photovoltaic facilities. Next we went to the Atlas Film Studios. They were founded in 1983 and are now one of the largest film studios in the world. We joined a guided tour through the Atlas Studios. Some well-known films were produced there, like Gladiator, Game of Thrones, Prison Break, The Living Daylights and many more. That's the end of the 2024 Rive Maroc Rally. It was a fantastic event and I will for sure return in the future. A big thanks to the organization team around Sylvia, Ajoub and Hamza. They did a great job. For more information about my trip to Morocco, take a look at my blog at evoverlanding.com. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to not miss my next EV adventures.
Salamat, salamat, salam, salamat. Salamat, salam, salamat. Medina Bay salamat, Medina Wil salamat, Medina Rul salamat, Medina Turid salamat, Medina Barakal salamat. Salamat, salamat, salam, salamat.